Welcome to a deep dive into, well, not money exactly, but like the psychology behind it. We're diving into Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money to see how our brains really work when it comes to our finances.
Yeah, it's funny. Right off the bat, House was like, forget what you think financial success isn't just about knowledge. He says it's way more about like our personal baggage with money.
Oh, totally. He's saying our gut feelings aren't always logical. They're like shaped by our pasts. Like he uses that example of someone who went through the '08 recession, how that might make them super cautious even now, even if they're doing well.
Right. That experience, it's like burned into their memory, and you compare them to someone who's like only seen good times, their instincts are going to be totally different.
So this isn't just some theory. This is like you listening right now. Think about it. Did your family struggle when you were a kid? Ever make a bad investment that still makes you cringe? Those things, good or bad, are probably messing with your money mindset more than you realize.
And that goes right into Housel's big point about saving. He's basically saying it's less about being a math genius and more about just making saving a habit, something you build into your life.
It's so true. We usually think, okay, pay the bills, whatever's left, I'll try to save.
Yeah.
But he flips it. He's all, nope, make saving the priority before you even think about spending.
It's about choosing to live below your means, and this is key no matter how much money you actually make. He even says, and this is wild, that there are people making millions, who are living paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, I know. Sounds insane. Right. But it's true. We see it all the time. Celebrities, athletes, lottery winners even, going broke. It really shows that being good with money isn't about how much H you have, but how you think about it.
100%. And the flip side is someone who might not make a ton, but because they've got that saving mindset, they end up super secure. It's about breaking that cycle of, oh, I got a raise, got to spend it.
Okay, so we've got our personal stories, we've got saving habits, but Housel, he gets real about something kind of uncomfortable. Luck. He says luck alongside risk plays a way bigger role in financial success than people want to admit.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Think about those rags to riches stories we eat up. They never tell you about the lucky breaks, the being in the right place at the right time, or even just someone taking a wild risk that just happened to work out.
Right, it's like we're only seeing the highlight reel, not the whole game. We think it's all their talent or hard work, when really, some stuff they couldn't control played a huge part.
Exactly. And we can't control luck, but what we can control is how we manage risk, which is something Housel really emphasizes. Not about being afraid to do anything, but just being real and smart about it.
So knowing luck is a thing, but not relying on it like a strategy. And that leads perfectly into his next point.
Yeah.
Even with luck, there's this force that rewards patience more than anything. Compounding. I gotta admit, this is where he blew my mind, Warren Buffett. Made 99% of his wealth after he turned 50.
That's the thing about compounding. It just kind of snowballs over time. It's not about those get-rich-quick schemes that never work. It's about letting your money grow slowly and steadily.
Which, let's be honest, takes a ton of patience, something that's kind of rare these days, especially when we're constantly seeing stories of, like, overnight successes and instant gratification.
And that's Housel's whole point. He's saying the hardest part for most people isn't picking the right stock or whatever. It's about resisting that urge to cash out when things get bumpy or they get impatient.
So less about timing the market perfectly and more about just spending time in the market. Is that what we're saying?
100%. Think about it this way. If you invested just $1,000 today with an average return, that could double in 10 years. Now imagine doing that over and over for decades. That's the power of compounding.
I can hear the listeners now. Yeah, easier said than done. But that's why understanding the psychology of it is so important. It's about fighting that urge to chase the quick win and playing the long game. Okay, so we've got personal stories, saving habits, luck, the power of just waiting it out, but there's more. Housel makes this really cool distinction between rich and wealthy, and it's not what you'd think.
It's so interesting. He challenges our assumptions, right?
Yeah.
We usually think of wealth as all the flashy stuff, fancy cars, vacations, basically whatever you can show off on social media.
Right, all that look at me, I made it stuff. But he's saying that's just being rich, not actually wealthy.
Exactly. He says wealth is what you don't see. It's that security you've built, the freedom to make choices without freaking out about money, knowing you can handle surprises without your life falling apart.
So less about keeping up with everyone else and more about being smart with your money, even if it's not always Instagram worthy.
Think about it. That guy in the Ferrari might be drowning in debt, while the person next to him in, like, an older car could have tons of savings and actual freedom. It's about your spending matching your values and goals, not what you think you should be showing the world.
So true wealth whispers, it doesn't brag. It's about having options and security, not just stuff.
100%. And that goes back to saving as a lifestyle, right? Not about deprivation, but being smart and making choices that support the life you want, both now and in the future.
This is such a good point. It's not just about the number in your account. It's about being cool with money, making good choices, and building a life that's about actual security, not just showing off.
And that brings us to another important concept, the margin of safety.
This one really got me because, like, we all try to budget for the expected stuff, but while life throws curveballs, it's like, you know that saying, expect the unexpected? But House is like, nah, prepare for it, especially with your money.
Exactly. It's not about being all doom and gloom, but just being real. Job losses happen, surprise medical bills, that leaky roof you've been putting off, it all adds up. And if you're already stretched thin, one little thing can really mess you up.
So this margin of safety, it's basically like having a financial cushion, right?
Yeah.
Just some breathing room.
Yeah, like imagine your finances have shock absorbers for those bumps in the road. It's about having savings beyond like your emergency fund, not always hoping for the best, being prepared for when life throws you a curveball.
Okay, so how much are we talking here? Is there like a magic number for how big this safety net should be?
It's tough to say because it's different for everyone, right? Depends on your situation, how much risk you're cool with, what your goals are. But Housel, he says, aim for a level of security where you're not like lying awake at night stressing about money.
Yeah, makes sense. So it's as much about peace of mind as it is about actual dollars and cents.
Totally. For some people, maybe that's 6 months of living expenses saved. For others, it's paying off debt. Could even be like making sure your investments are diverse so if one thing tanks, you're not screwed.
Right, so it's more than just stuffing cash under the mattress. It's like making smart choices that protect you.
100%. And it's interesting when you think of this margin of safety, not as like depriving yourself, but as something that gives you power, it changes everything. Knowing you've got that buffer can actually make you more confident to take risks in other areas of your life.
Oh, that's a great point. It's like knowing you have a safety net actually makes you more willing to go for it because if things don't work out, you're not starting from zero.
Exactly. Building that margin of safety is about taking control, making your money work for you, not the other way around. It's about your choices matching your goals, not letting outside pressures call the shots.
It's like remembering that security isn't about having the same things as everyone else. It's about building a life you actually enjoy without stressing about money all the time.
You got it. Remember, it's not about getting rich quick. It's about building something solid, something that can handle anything so you can go after what you want without worry.
I think what's really hitting home for me is that so much of what we're talking about from the psychology of money isn't about becoming some kind of financial whiz overnight. It's about understanding ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Housel nails it when he talks about the emotional side of money. We make choices based on like our experiences, our hang-ups, our emotions, a lot of which we don't even realize we're doing.
Right, like there's all these hidden scripts playing in our heads, affecting everything, and we don't even know it. Once we see those patterns, we can start making better choices, choices that actually make sense for us.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. That's real freedom. Knowing yourself, trusting yourself to make choices that build the life you want without being held back by fear or those old stories we tell ourselves about money.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. One thing I'm taking away from the psychology of money is we got to be nicer to ourselves. We're all learning, and there'll be times we mess up or compare ourselves to others.
Oh, absolutely. No one's perfect, and money, it's a journey, not a finish line. We'll hit bumps, but the important thing is to learn, adjust course, and keep moving.
It's like having a growth mindset, but with money. Being open to learning, being okay with things changing, and realizing there's no one right answer for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. It's figuring out what works for you, your life, your goals, and hey, asking for help along the way, that's okay too.
So we're wrapping up our deep dive into the psychology of money. But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with a question that really made me think. Housel asks, if money were no object, what choices would you make differently?
Oh, that's a good one. It really makes you think about what really matters, doesn't it?
It's like money's tied to so much more than just, dollars and cents. It's our dreams, what I think is important, that feeling of being free and safe.
Totally. It's about what you actually care about in life and how money fits into that.
Exactly. And maybe that means saying no to something that looks really good, like a fancy car or a huge house, so you can say yes to something way better. Time for your hobbies or just hanging out with people you love or even just like not stressing about money all the time.
It's about thinking long term, even if it means waiting on something or like not following what everyone else is doing.
It's deciding what success really means for you. This whole chat has been a great reminder that being good with money isn't about knowing all the rules or following every investment tip. It's about the human stuff, the emotions and biases that mess with our choices, even when we don't realize it.
For sure. House was great at bringing that human side out. He's like, hey, we all have different experiences with money. There's no one right way to do this. It's about finding what works for you, your situation, your goals, how much risk you can handle.
And that's why I think that question, what would you do differently if money didn't matter, is so powerful. It shows us where we might be holding back or making choices based on fear instead of what we really want.
Totally. It's like a little mind game that shows you what you actually care about. Because isn't that what it's all about? Making our relationship with money match the life we want to live.
It's about money being a tool to help us build a life with purpose, joy, whatever makes us feel good. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the psychology of money, think about that question. If money was no big deal, what would you do differently? What choices would you make? What would you go after?
You might surprise yourself with what comes up.
Totally. And that could be huge in making your relationship with money healthier, something that actually helps you live a life that feels real and meaningful to you.
Because at the end of the day, being good with money isn't just about how much you have in the bank. It's about being free to live a life that matches your values without all the stress.
Perfectly said. This has been such a great conversation, really got me thinking. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the psychology of money. Don't forget, this money stuff, it's a journey. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep making choices that feel right for you, the ones that bring you closer to the life you want.